Concrete jungle. In the concrete jungle, nowhere to hide. On every corner, Big Brother's eyes. Hear the sound of war all through the streets. See the face of fear on everyone you meet. They come on the streets. They speak their lies. We are the people. They won't take us alive. Ladies and gentlemen, feds and degenerates, cuckolds of all ages, it's that time once again. It's time for Miles Culture Plate. I am your host, Mild Kevin Miles, and it is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. And we've got an interesting show, I believe, because lots of shit has happened in the last few days. We're going to be covering a bunch of different stories. But most importantly, the star of this show is not me. It's not the news. It's not crazy women. It's you, the viewer. You want to be the star of the show? Feel free to come on into the chat. Say hello. Say how you doing. I'll give you a cheers, and welcome. I'll show your chat on screen. I'll show your hello on screen, and we'll get this ball rolling. So come on in, say hello. Let's get this show on the road. Welcome everybody. So yeah, we've got a lot of interesting stuff happening. I mean, of course, we're swing right smack dab in the middle of the election season. And the election madness, I try not to cover too much of the election madness. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty on whether or not JD Vance should be talking about the dog eating stuff as much as he has been. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty about whatever Tim Walz has flipped his shit about Trump today in an interview. I'm not going to necessarily hammer all of these talking point narratives from the left or the right, but I do cover interesting news surrounding the election, such as this. Uh, Thank you, Fox News. We have this happening in Arizona. Arizona database flags 100,000 voters as possible non citizens. Quote, coding oversight. This from Jamie Joseph of Fox News. Arizona's Democratic Secretary of State said he's unwilling to restrict potential non citizen to a federal only ballot. Coding oversight in state software is being called into question. The citizenship status of 100,000 registered Arizona voters, prompting the state's Secretary of State, who's a Democrat, to insist he will send out ballots to those affected anyway. I am unwilling to disenfranchise this many voters by limiting them suddenly and with little notice to a federal only ballot when none of them had actual notice of or blame for this issue. Secretary of State Adrian Fontes said in a Tuesday news conference. We inherited this problem. We're on it. We're going to fix it. It's as simple as that. The mistake affects individuals who obtained their driver's licenses before October 1996 and subsequently received duplicates before registering to vote after 2004. Since 2005, Arizona has required proof of U.S. citizenship for voting in state and local elections. Without this proof, these voters would be considered federal only voters, permitting them to vote solely on presidential and congressional elections rather than their full ballot. I don't understand what getting a second driver's license has to do with your U.S. citizenship. Quote, we don't have any reason to believe that anyone in this gap is not an eligible voter, Fontes said. We don't have any reason to believe they're not eligible citizens in spite of the fact that we did find one. All we know is they fit into this category and all of this requires more research. I agree. Maricopa County Recorder's Office filed an emergency petition requesting the Arizona Supreme Court determine whether voters affected by the data oversight should be required to prove citizenship before the November election. Fontes said the error comes as longtime Arizona residents have been voting in elections for years under the impression they have already provided proof of citizenship, and if the justices determine these individuals are only eligible to vote in federal races, Fontes said there will be an outreach effort to inform them. So again, they're not planning on it, but the Supreme Court might make them. The error comes as Republicans and a conservative watchdog group have been pushing for stricter voting measures to require proof of U.S. citizenship to participate in state and national elections. Arizona is also a swing state that flipped blue in the 2020 presidential election. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Last month, watchdog group America First Legal sued 15 Arizona counties for allegedly refusing to remove thousands of illegal immigrants from its voter rolls. The lawsuit claims that as of April 2024, over 35,000 registered voters in Arizona had not provided proof of citizenship, limiting them to federal races, according to the Arizona Secretary of State's office. For their part, House Republicans are also attempting to attach H.R. 8281, which mandates proof of citizenship for voter registration, was passed in July, to a temporary government funding bill. A spokesperson for U.S. Senate candidate Carrie Lake told Fox News Digital in a statement, it's not surprising to learn that nearly 100,000 voters in Arizona apparently never provided citizenship to vote. Carrie Lake had been raising awareness of these alarming vulnerabilities in our elections for years and will not stop until these issues are resolved. The majority of Americans believe only U.S. citizens should vote in our elections. It's common sense. This discovery makes far left radical Ruben Gallegos vote to allow legals to vote in elections even more disqualifying. Lake's Democratic opponent in the Senate race is Ruben Gallego, did not respond to requests for comment. Okay. So there you have it. You have okay, we got Sanglan86 over in the chat on Rumble saying, "Who let the prostituters out?" Cheers and welcome. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. Yeah, this is the thing. If this is a thing where, again, I'm not understanding what they're saying the problem is. Obtain their driver's licenses before October 1996 and subsequently receive duplicates before registering to vote. I don't understand why a duplicate driver's license meant you don't have proof of U.S. citizenship, unless what they're saying is if you got a driver's license before 1996, it's not like they didn't, like, maybe the DMV in Arizona didn't require you to show proof of citizenship, didn't require you to show a birth certificate or a you know proof of residence. Uh, so I don't know. I really don't know if it's as simple as a database dump, but that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like these people did not provide proof that they were citizens. And as such, they should be ineligible. I don't care if you weren't given proper notice, right? At some point, you have to show proof of citizenship to vote, if that's what the law says. I mean, if you live in Arizona, you knew this law was going to pass. I think it's on you to determine whether or not the documentation you have registered with the government is sufficient to vote. This is why we have so many problems at the DMV. The DMV says we'll accept this, we'll accept that, we'll accept this, and then, things seem to change sometimes. Anyway, so there's that. Shout out to everyone out there in Arizona. I hope your election goes smoothly. I know it won't, but hey, those are the breaks, folks. Those are the breaks. Maricopa's a disgusting hellhole. Wait, what's going on with my vape? Did my vape die? Oh no, it just turned itself off for some reason. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so not only do we have that shit going on in Arizona, now we have we've had this shit going on with Taylor Swift deepfakes, and they're getting great. I saw a couple today. One had Trump bending Taylor Swift over his knee, spanking her with very short skirt on. It was pretty funny. There was another one with like Harrison Butker wagging his finger at her. So yeah, the Taylor Swift deepfakes are great. But now there's been a whole new debate spring up about political deepfakes, and I've actually run into a few of these. I don't like them, but anyone who's been on the internet more than 20 minutes can spot these AI videos of celebrities talking about randomness. Now, here's what I will say: all the craziness over the past week of Trump doing weird crypto shit, uh, pumping shit coins, and then today, I guess he became the first U.S. president to make a purchase with Bitcoin. So yeah, what is up with the Trump family getting into Bitcoin and shit coins? I mean, look, hey, I'm down for crypto as much as the next guy. I have a tiny bit myself, but yeah, I mean it's quite the grift right now, and the fact that the rightful president of the United States is dealing in shitcoin is to me, that's a big red flag. But anyway, so oh, Sangling 86 says you have to turn the old license in. It sounds like there were people getting licenses in someone else's name. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I think that's a big problem. I think that's a big fucking problem because then you're voting in someone else's name. And I think you should provide a little proof that, back up who the hell's voting. But anyway, so the AI scams are out there, and apparently the state of California, through its lovely free, allegedly freedom loving governor Gavin Newscum, as Donald Trump likes to call him, Newscum. Gavin Newscum has now signed a bill to ban deepfakes in election material. So California now has the nation's most aggressive law in place on AI generated content before the November election. This is from Politico's Jeremy White. Governor Newsom signed the country's toughest law banning digitally altered political deepfakes on Tuesday, following through on a vow to act after rebuking Elon Musk for sharing a doctored video of Kamala Harris. The new California law, which will take effect before the election, channels rising alarm about AI's capacity to disrupt elections by sowing misinformation, with voters increasingly confronted with deepfake images and audio impersonating candidates. Musk stoked the debate when he shared the altered video of Harris in July, drawing Newsom's public promise to prohibit similar practices. I could care less if it was Harris or Trump, Newscom told Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff during a conversation on Tuesday. Quote, it was just wrong on every level. Newscom also signed a companion bill on Tuesday that targets deepfakes by compelling platforms to pull down such content when users flag them, although that bill will not take effect until next year. He signed a third measure requiring disclaimers on political ads that use artificial intelligence. New laws help cement California's leading role in regulating emergent AI, even as the state's homegrown tech industry has pushed back and blocked some laws. State lawmakers have embraced those efforts as a divided Democratic state lawmakers have embraced those efforts as a divided Congress struggles to advance meaningful legislation, and concerns about AI's potentially, quote, anti-democratic downsides reverberate around the world. Okay, so let's see. A former San Francisco mayor with deep tech ties, Newscom, has lauded Musk for helping to launch the electric car industry through Tesla, growing the company with help of generous state subsidies, but they have clashed as Musk's politics have veered to the right, and he's blasted California officials for pandemic shutdowns, as well as trans student privacy legislation. All right, folks. One moment. So, yeah, my illness from last week still kind of lingering a little bit. And apparently, whenever I do anything that's not hanging out, apparently my nose starts running anytime anyone's actually looking at my face. Okay, some of those disputes have played out in court. An appeals court recently backed X's challenge to a 2022 law signed by Newsom that requires social media companies to disclose more information about their content moderation policies. Okay. I mean, look, I'm good with disclosures about moderation and stuff like that, but yeah. So the Babylon Bee has responded to this new law in California.
Hi, I'm Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. This is a message for the people of America, given in my authentically recorded, non-AI voice. Thanks to my leadership over the last several years, California has become a world leader in extremist left-wing governance. My policies were so effective that almost 1 million people are now fleeing the state every year. We even ran out of U-Hauls. During the COVID pandemic, I locked everyone in their homes and shut down businesses for months. Not the French Laundry, though. That's my favorite restaurant. Last year, I cleaned up the dangerous, messy streets of San Francisco, because Chinese Communist President Xi was coming, and I really wanted to impress him. He's my boss, after all.
He's my boss.
I signed
That's
legislation
great.
that allows me to take custody of your kid if you refuse to give him artificial hormones and chop off his genitals. Because if you don't do that, you're a bigot.
You're a
And bigots
bigot.
shouldn't be allowed to have kids. I've also led the way in green energy by banning all cars that don't run on electricity. Then I banned almost all the electricity. This is smart leadership. On my watch, the cost of living and homelessness have skyrocketed.
I love it.
Schools are failing. Drug dealers and human traffickers are pouring across the border. And poop has covered the sidewalks of San Francisco. This is the positive, joyful vision we offer as Democrats. That's why I'm enthusiastically endorsing Kamala Harris for president in 2024. She'll do to the country everything I did in California.
Yes,
anyway, I'm California Governor Gavin Newsom, and I approve this 100% real message, which is a recording of my voice without the assistance of any AI whatsoever. This isn't a deep fake, and you can rest assured that it isn't, because I just signed an unconstitutional law outlawing deep fakes. No one would dare violate it.
Oh my God.
Thank you, and science bless America.
Science bless America. Oh my God, that was fucking golden. Thank you to Babylon B. That was amazing. I've got to retweet that shit. I've got to retweet that shit. Oh man, Newscom owned. Newscom owned. Speaking of Newscom, I think this is him standing next to your wonderful presidential candidate right here. This was a while back. This is not new footage, but I think it's relevant with all the fervor in the debate that Kamala Harris wouldn't ban guns, and we played some clips here of her saying mandatory buybacks, which is gun confiscation. If you're being forced to sell them back, that's mandatory confiscation, folks. But this is her basically saying, even if you're being responsible, we're just going to come to your house and take them.
Responsible behaviors among everybody in the community. And just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
Have you heard from...
Okay, so there you have it. She's going to come into your locked home and make sure you're being responsible with your guns. Well, I guess there was a little row over this this video and some of these comments made by the Vice President of the United States. So much so that, people have commented very passionate things on the internet. And one of these people was Jeremy Kauffman. And Jeremy Kauffman, what I've heard, the rumor is what he tweeted, and I don't have a link to his tweet here today, but what I heard he said was essentially something along the lines of Second Amendment problems require Second Amendment solutions. We can have a little conversation here in just a minute about the rhetoric, because this is a current media narrative, and I'll address that in a moment. But first, I wanted to play this video because 24 hours after commenting this on the internet, Jeremy received a visit to his home by these two lovely gentlemen here.
Hey, how can I help you?
Hey there, Jeremy?
Yeah.
How are you?
Who are you?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Agent
Can you give
O'Donnell.
your full name, please?
Who doesn't want to give his full name?
Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify there's only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI?
His first name is Agent. You should know this by now. His first name is Agent.
New Hampshire, yes.
Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No.
Oh, he doesn't want to
First
be
name,
on
right.
camera.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Could you stop recording, please?
Absolutely not. You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay. don't really want to broadcast my.
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away.
So that's why I'm not going to.
So you can show me your name ID. You can walk away.
We just want to talk.
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
There you go.
See our badges.
I need to see. Is your full name on that badge?
No.
I'd like to see something with your full name, or I'm not going to talk to you.
Okay, so now imagine this. Jeremy Kaufman has his name on his Twitter. Like, boom. I mean, this is literally his video right here. I'll minimize this. Look, has his name. His name is his handle, his everything. Why am I not following? I thought it. Oh, yeah, I was following him. Oh, my God. Okay. Full name on his Twitter. The guy said his full name out loud. Are you Jeremy Kaufman? This motherfucker right here. Like, what if he doesn't want his neighbors to know his fucking full name? He doesn't have that. Oh, you don't want to say it on camera, but what if he doesn't want to say it in front of his neighbors? And you just get out of your car. Are you Jeremy Kaufman? Does he not have the same rights you enjoy? Oh, well, of course not. Of course not. Mr. Agent, Mr. O'Donnell, Mr. Smug fucking look on your face. But anyway, you're about to see Jeremy handles his visit by allegedly federal law enforcement agents in a fucking great way. Keep watching.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
Well, all I want to do is talk to you about a post that was made, and if you
Well,
happen to be the one that made the
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here. Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with. So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any.
No, you're coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken. And that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your job?
Oh, wait, you mean law enforcement agents might actually read the Constitution? Oh my God, what a novel fucking idea. You know these two pricks don't fucking read the Constitution.
Jobs and go home.
We appreciate it.
You're walking away. Because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are fuckheads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. You go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards. Drive away.
In your black SUV. Drive away in your black
Drive
SUV.
away. You're not welcome. You should be embarrassed.
Yes,
embarrassing. You guys are embarrassing.
See, and they've got you. Did you see that? They don't have Fed plates. They have New Hampshire plates. Wonder who that New Hampshire car is actually registered to. Is it the FBI? Or is it Mr. Agent? And the middle finger. That's fucking classic. Yes. We don't encourage violence against federal government people here at Miles Culture Relate. We do not encourage violence against federal government employees, nor the Vice President of the United States. And all, like I said, I'll address the rhetoric here in a minute. But I do encourage giving the middle finger to federal agents acting unconstitutional. I do encourage that. Miles Culture Plate official policy position. So yeah, after what he said, there has been a lot of talk in the past 48 hours since the now second failed Trump assassination attempt. there's been a lot of talk again about rhetoric, and oh my God, I meant to have this queued up. Hey, Kevin and ABQ over on Rumble, live free or die on that plate. We know what those employees chose. Of course. They would rather die. And again, not promoting any violent act against any government agent. And look, I meant to have this brought up here. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, nope. There it is. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the rhetoric, and there's no better clip that I could show you than Steve Doocy talking to Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday. Oh, folks. So yeah, after the president was another assassination attempt happened on President Trump. There's been a lot of talk about violence and extreme rhetoric and threats and blah 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 blah. And it's like, what is the tone of our divisive politics? What is the cost of that? And there's been a lot of claims made about JD Vance and a lot of claims made about the White House. And so here's Steve Doocy asking the White House directly, do you think some of this extreme rhetoric could be contributing to people acting crazy or getting violent? And this is what she had to say. This is a 32-second clip.
Thank you, Karine. It's been only 2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat. How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
All right, thanks everybody. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Karine. It's been...
Okay, wait, that wasn't the clip I thought it was. Where was the... Where is... That wasn't a clip I thought it was. I saw another clip where she went fucking... Okay, here we go.
Here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat. How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump?
Wait, this is the same clip, isn't it? Fuck.
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking.
Damn it, what the fuck? This is too short of a clip. Okay, here it is. This is it. Oh my God.
Donald Trump again.
The number of tweets I got to go through to get the clip I want.
Briefing room, the president and the vice president pick a different.
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise.
By the way, shout out to wearing orange to work.
Of your question, the question that you're asking, it is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it.
Brave to wear orange to work.
Because American people are watching. And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence, from an administration where the president called the former president and was grateful that he was okay, from an administration who has called out.
A phone call makes it okay.
The attack of Paul.
Okay, so if you call the person before you start calling them a threat, then yeah, just go ahead and call them a threat. If you call the person that almost got murdered and say, "Hey, I care about you," well, then you can then proceed to call them a threat and tell crazy people that he's the dangerous one.
Paul Pelosi called out and said we need to lower the temperature after the Butler incident And now for you to
lower the
make
temperature,
that
but then you didn't
kind
lower
of
the temperature. And Paul
comment
Pelosi was
in your question, because
Paul
your question
Pelosi guy
involved a
was your
comment and a
guy.
statement. And
David DePape.
you know, it is that is also incredibly dangerous. When
Oh my God. Again, the clip was too fucking short. What the hell? Where is the long clip? Where is the long clip? Here it is. Oh my God.
when you have a former president who basically says that the election wasn't the results of the election were not the results of the election.
Well, did you address
When
it? Did you address that claim?
Dozens of
No.
more than 60
No,
Republican
you just
judges
called it a lie.
said that it was a free and fair election. More than 60 said it was indeed a free and fair election.
No, they didn't.
You
No,
had
they
more
didn't.
than 2,000 people who were told to go to the Capitol. It was one of the darkest days of our democracy.
Yeah, because
one of the
going
darkest
to the
days.
Capitol
There were
and
people
marching
law
peacefully
enforcement officers who died
is
because
an
of what
exercise of your
happened.
Nope. And
at the
again,
Capitol.
listen to the lies. Listen to the
And
lies.
they were there
Police
because
officers
the
died.
former
No, they
president
didn't.
told them to go there. I mean, I don't know if that's not
Again, she's trying to spin this as saying, you calling us dangerous, that's dangerous. And this is why it's dangerous, because he's a threat. Holy fucking shit. No accountability whatsoever. And she starts going on this rant of the same lies we've heard from Joe Biden, the same lies that we've heard from Kamala Harris at the debate, the same lies we continue to hear from our mainstream media. She's going to get up there and say them again. The police officers died on January 6th. Didn't happen.
if that's not a threat in our democracy when it was one of the
That judges ruled the election fair. Didn't happen. And I don't care that I'm on YouTube. Like, judges literally did not say that. Judges did not rule on the election. They ruled that there was no standing. The majority of them. When she says 60 of them ruled this way, over 60 of them ruled that no.
darkest days of our democracy, January 6th, one of the darkest days. And
point.
so we have been very clear from here. Now, we can have a disagreement on policies.
The president did not call for
can,
violence on
issues.
that day.
That is what we should do. It is important to have those disagreements. It is welcome to have those disagreements on the economy, on healthcare,
Okay.
on foreign policy.
Okay.
But when you start bringing political rhetoric,
Same.
that is not okay. And that's what you've heard from us too. You've heard of differences on policies.
All
But
the
to your
things you
point,
just
there
said
are
were not
people
policies.
want-
All the things you just said, January 6th, that's not a policy. It's literally not a policy. Whether or not a candidate is allowed to challenge the election results is not a policy. I mean, we could make it a policy. We could set election laws, but you haven't done that. You've politically prosecuted the man.
Watching at home who might miss the part where you say, let's lower the temperature. And there are mentally unstable people who are attempting to kill political candidates, attempting to kill Donald Trump. And they are still hearing this
We
White
have-
House refer
Shout out
to him
to
as a
Lucy,
threat.
man.
Is there
We
no
have-
concern that people
we-
are taking that
We have,
literally?
we're using examples. We're not just saying that just to say it. January 6th, Peter, January 6th. Wait,
Okay, so when we call Kamala Harris a communist, right? And we use examples of her saying she wants price controls. We use examples saying that she wants this tax and spend economy. That she doesn't want to actually rebuild jobs like she says she does. She wants to institute government jobs. When she says that Donald Trump's tariffs aren't going to do what they say they're going to do. And the way to create jobs is to create government programs. When we call Kamala Harris a communist, right, and say that communism is a threat, if somebody were to act on that, right, we just went through this with Alex Jones, by the way. We just went through this with so many people, with your administration and with people. We were just talking about Gavin Newsom and the AI. Folks, the way people respond to things that they hear online and in the media is important. The way the media frames things, the way the White House frames things is immensely important. And when the White House has an oops, like Dr. Fauci saying, "Oh, yeah, we don't need masks. We shouldn't be doing masks." And then later, "Oh, we have to have masks. Wear 2 masks." And then, "Oh, yeah, well, the states with the mask mandates are the ones hardest hit by economic struggles. The states that were doing mask or that were doing lockdowns, the states that had mandates requiring certain medical treatments were doing real bad. The other states were using alternative medical treatments were doing all right. The states that banned those alternative medical treatments doing pretty bad." But again, do your own research, talk to your own doctor. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it in the media. Talk to your doctor and listen to your government. Thank you, YouTube. When the White House gets it wrong, when the White House's rhetoric causes people to act or not act or to react, and you say it's dangerous when we want to hold you accountable for that?
January 6th.
Oh my God.
How many times do we have this? January 6th, 2021. That is a fact. What was reported that
We've got a
happened
lot
on
more
that day by
stories,
some of
too.
your colleagues. I mean, and we have at the same time denounced political violence over and over, political rhetoric over.
Well,
and
you can
over
denounce it and
again,
denounce it, but
over and over again.
then you
I know
piped
your
it
focus
right
has to
back
be on
up.
this side of the house. It can't be on your side of the house. I get that.
But you pipe it right back up when you frame Donald Trump as literally Hitler. You know, the only way to combat this is if you got to come out and say, look, no, if Donald Trump is elected, the sun will come out tomorrow. Our country may not be the best, but it will still exist. But no, you folks paint Donald Trump as if he's going to end all elections in the future and he's going to do away with the Congress and the Supreme Court, and he's just going to be a dictator. Folks, it's these people and their rhetoric that paints that narrative.
I get that. But we also have to be.
And when you paint that narrative, people will respond violently. We don't want an Adolf Hitler. We don't want a Mussolini. I mean, some people in this country do like Hitler and Mussolini, but the majority of us are ready to suit up and be violent if we thought that was going to happen. This is the part of the rhetoric that I really want to address. At what point is it too far? At what point do the things you hear and the things you are afraid of, at what point should it motivate you to be violent? I disavow political violence. She just disavowed political violence. Donald Trump disavows political violence. But let's be honest here. We do have a Declaration of Independence. This nation was founded on, hey, shit got so bad under a monarchy, under a dictator. Shit got so bad under a dictator that we had to pledge our lives, our wealth, and our blood to our brothers to unite together in violence, in violent uprising. We're not at that point yet, folks. We're not at that point. I want to stress that, FBI agents out there, we are not at that point. But we do have to recognize when those lines have been crossed in our nation. The idea that violence is off the table politically, I mean, I would say, in the spirit of America, no, violence is, quote, never off the table, but it should not be your go-to. And the fact that you have these jackals going back and forth about words, folks, words, not actions, words. This is proof that it's not time to get violent, because this is what they're trying to go for. They're trying to goad you folks out there in America into doing crazy shit. Because if you folks do crazy shit, well, guess what? Now we have an anti-terrorism bill, right? Now we have an anti-terrorism bill that says you can't say things like what I just said. You can't talk about the Declaration of Independence because it's dangerous. These crackdowns on speech, now that might be the line. I don't know. But as of right now, they're not doing that. And they're not threatening to do that. But if you folks go nuts and start getting violent, if people on the left continue to go nuts and start being violent, the government will respond. Now, look, we're about to play a video here in a minute talking about these two individuals who have attempted to assassinate the president. Let me go ahead and just play out the last
Careful on how you're
30
asking me these
seconds here.
questions. People are watching, and is what you are saying about us raising political violent rhetoric, whatever, however you just formulated
I mean, it is dangerous.
this is an administration that has denounced and condemned any type of political rhetoric or violence.
Say that. Keep
It is
saying
the
that
reason
instead
why
of
this
saying
president
threat.
decided to run in 2020. That is why the president decided to come back. He believed that it is important to save the soul of America, of our nation, and he believed it was important that we continue to fight for our democracy, fight for our freedom. That's what you see from this administration. I'm moving on. Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, there you go. Thank you to the Daily Caller for the long version of that video. Oh, folks. Okay. So this is a video that has gone a little viral. I wanted to bring it up. This is about the Trump assassins. I thought it quite interesting. This is Joyback LaCruz on TikTok. She also has a Twitter. For some reason, she didn't post this video on Twitter, but she is like sharing all the famous people who are reposting it. So shout out. Oh, excuse me. Coughing spell. Like I said, I'm still not 100% from my illness, but this is a 4-minute video. We're going to kind of let a lot of it play here because I'm quickly running out of time and there are a few other news stories I want to get to.
All roads to the Trump assassinations lead to one thing alone. So we see some similarities between the shooters. Both were donors to Act Blue, a PAC for the Democrat Party. Both managed to get within 500 yards of Trump. Both attempts were followed by the mainstream media kind of oddly downplaying the severity of the situations. And most importantly, Crooks was in a 2023 BlackRock commercial, and Ralph was in a 2022 commercial for the Ukrainian militia that had been trained by the American CIA for the past decade and is funded by BlackRock. Here's the explanation. So, for context, Ryan Routh was a construction worker in North Carolina that moved to Hawaii, has a house and a business there that wasn't making any money, so he was listed as unemployed. But he really cared about standing for Ukraine. So, this former construction worker with no income, operating entirely alone, ran a website offering Americans $1,200 a month to fight for Ukraine, was illegally moving Afghani soldiers fleeing from the Taliban in Pakistan and Iran to fight for Ukraine, dropped everything for months at a time to fly himself to Ukraine, and flew to DC to lobby for Congress to recruit soldiers for Ukraine.
There you go.
He also has about 100 criminal filings, including a 2002 arrest for possessing a weapon of mass destruction, as most construction workers do, and he obviously still has weapons. And not only is he still
construction
allowed to
worker,
vote, but to vote in North Carolina as recently as this year, even though he's a
voted
resident
in
of
North
Hawaii.
Carolina.
And like most construction workers, he had a hunch where Trump would be on a Sunday afternoon and was waiting at the golf course for 12 hours ahead of time, even though Trump's schedule was off the record. The most probable explanation is tied to BlackRock. So in 2022, Routh was in a commercial that advertised the Yazov Battalion, which is a Ukrainian neo-Nazi militia trained by the CIA and funded by BlackRock. So what links Ukraine, the CIA, and BlackRock? Well, ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis, the dissolution of the Russian Empire has been an American priority because they have nukes aimed at us. Now, BlackRock essentially owns the U.S. government, considering the top economic advisors for the Biden-Harris admin come from BlackRock.
Boom.
BlackRock wants the oil and rare metals in eastern Ukraine because it owns companies that sell oil and rare metals. So last year, BlackRock paid Ukraine $500 billion in exchange for all of Ukraine's main assets and put
Mineral
Ukraine
rights
in permanent debt to BlackRock. And since BlackRock owns our government, our CIA is BlackRock's personal military. And
folks, I want to give a shout out to the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman by Perkins. If you've read that book or you've heard Mr. Perkins give speeches or interviews, you know this playbook. This is what the United States has done through the CIA, and now they're doing it through multinational corporations. I mean, you go into these decrepit countries that are fighting civil wars or fighting wars, and you fucking depose the dictator and install your own puppet dictator, and then you tell them, hey, we'll fund your war and we'll keep you safe. Just, go into debt to us, and we'll do the rest. We'll automate your country. We'll send soldiers. We'll do whatever it takes to keep you in power. Just make sure your people are in debt to us for the rest of your existence. Anyway,
troubled souls like Routh and Crooks are groomed to be useful pawns that exist to look like random eccentric people and take the sole blame for carefully crafted crimes like attempting to extinguish the primary threat to the mega monopoly that not only runs our government, but the world. Hence, after Crooks died and was supposed to be examined by the House Task Force, the FBI took the body and cremated it in secret. Not only law enforcement knew until 13 days after. Nobody sat his parents down and asked them why their kid had bombs or how he got the money for this, and they never will. The crime scene was scrubbed. So if it wasn't obvious before, it should be obvious now that your government, the CIA, the FBI, the Secret Service are a unit. Not because they're all buddies and love each other, but because they're owned by the same people. So anyone that threatens them, regardless of party affiliation,
imagine that,
is a target. So no wonder for years people have said Trump would be assassinated, and no wonder they refused to give
Alex
Secret
Jones
Service
said it
protection
3 days
to a
before it happened.
Kennedy. This is the mega monopoly
The second time.
versus the people, and always has been. But thanks to private media, we know that now. So the attempt to shut down any resistance is going to be stronger than ever. This is the totalitarians versus we the people.
Yep.
So fight.
There you go, folks. Fight, fight, fight. And when I say fight, I mean, look, you've got a ballot. You can be election watch people. By the way, about that, apparently they have issued like terrorism warnings and stuff. From allegedly, there have been a lot of bomb threats and threats called into several Secretary of State offices, several local election boards. They're trying to paint right wingers as we're all gonna do terrorist activities at election places, as if we don't all want people to vote for Donald Trump safely and securely. Again, I want to point out I'm not a Trump supporter. I have to fall on with the Trump supporters. I have to caucus with the Trump supporters on all of these issues. Because, dear God, they will do anything to steal this election. So we've got a few other news stories I'm just going to kind of pay a little lip service to. I was going to read out a lot of these articles, but we're running out of fucking time. So we've got Texas issuing an executive order here. Governor Greg Abbott talking about the immigration issues, and in it he lists Tren de Aragua as a transnational criminal organization with thousands of members across the globe, operating a sweeping criminal enterprise that traffics human beings for sex, smuggles drugs and weapons, and tortures and dismembers of victims, and originated in a Venezuelan prison where leaders ran a criminal enterprise with comforts of a pool, nightclub, and zoo, quickly moved its activities into surrounding countries like Colombia, Peru, and Chile before expanding into the United States. And then here it is. Officials in Texas confirmed that members of Tren de Aragua has crossed into the U.S., and a recent memorandum from U.S. Department of Homeland Security reveals that the leaders have given members a green light to fire or attack on law enforcement. And so essentially, he has made it a crime to be Tren de Aragua and has labeled it essentially a foreign terrorist organization. So Texas has now made it illegal to be Tren de Aragua and labeled Tren de Aragua a terrorist organization. So shout out to Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. Okay, so you may have heard there are missile situations happening between the U.S. and Russia. Well, between NATO and Russia, excuse me, where Biden and Prime Minister of the UK, I forget. Damn it. I hate having a brain fart in the middle of a story. Anyway, the Prime Minister of the UK and Biden sat down and agreed. Keir Starmer agreed to send Ukraine satellite-guided missiles. Well, things are ramping up, folks. U.S. deploys soldiers and rocket systems to Alaska Island as Russian military activity ramps up in that region. U.S. military has moved about 130 soldiers along with mobile rocket launchers to a desolate island in an island chain of western Alaska amid a recent increase in Russian military planes and vessels approaching American territory. 8 Russian military planes, 4 Navy vessels, including 2 submarines, have come close to Alaska in the past week as Russia and China continue to conduct joint military drills. None of the planes have breached U.S. airspace, and a Pentagon spokesperson said there's no cause for alarm. It's not the first time we've seen Russians and the Chinese flying, in the vicinity, and that's something we obviously closely monitor, and it's also something we're prepared to respond to, Major General Pat Ryder said in a news conference. As part of a force projection operation, the Army on September 12th sent soldiers to this island with 12,000 miles southwest of Anchorage, where the U.S. Air Force maintains an air station that dates to World War II. The soldiers brought high mobility artillery rocket systems, or HIMARS, with them. So there we go. We've got photos of Russian and Chinese warplanes, warships, submarines. Fun times, folks. Welcome back to the Cold War. It might get hot pretty soon. Let's see. I was going to talk about this, but not really. So let's do this. Justice Department seeks $100 million from companies that owned the ship that destroyed the Baltimore Bridge. Yeah, the government's essentially filing a $100 million lawsuit against these people. Grace Ocean Private Limited and Synergy Marine Private Limited. So there we go. In other court news, we have Harvey Weinstein pleading not guilty to a new indictment charging him with criminal sex acts. I won't be, let's see. Let's jump down here. So yeah, you have Alvin Bragg issuing a new indictment. Weinstein has denied all claims of sexual misconduct, saying his encounters were all consensual. Mr. Weinstein has been consistent from the time of this investigation. He never forced himself on anybody, his attorney told reporters outside the courthouse following the arraignment. So, yeah, you got Harvey Weinstein coming back to court after being rushed to the hospital and let out of jail. Let's see. Okay, the last news story. I'm not going to cover the Diddy stuff. There's plenty of people covering the Diddy stuff. Shout out to all the people that have dug through the Diddy stuff and are finding more and more information. The shit's getting crazy, folks. The Diddy stuff is getting crazy. The only thing I'm going to really say about it is it appears there are a lot of narcs, whether Diddy's a narc or whether Diddy had employed a bunch of narcs. And the 1,000 bottles of lube is crazy. I've been reading all kinds of news stories about the Diddy stuff. So, shout out to everyone that's covering that. I won't be covering that because, again, everyone's already got a take on it. I'm more worried about the state of our country than whether or not a celebrity's having freak offs with sex slaves and it's sad. Yeah, I want to see those participating in human trafficking brought to justice. But quite frankly, this story is more of an interest piece than urgent for you folks out there to act upon, so to speak. And by act, again, I don't mean violence. I mean, be an informed voter. And as such, we've been talking about issues of war, and the big news story the past couple of days is about these devices, various devices exploding in Lebanon. We got walkie-talkies exploding today. Their discontinued Japanese model, Lebanon's communication ministry says. This is CNN's live feed here. And so many people from CNN are contributing to this feed. Death toll climbs to 20 in Wednesday's explosions, Lebanon's health ministry says. White House says the U.S. was not involved in the Lebanon attacks. UN officials say it was a blast. The blast was a violation of international humanitarian law. Kevin and ABQ says, yeah, 2023, Nick Recato would be all over that story. And then Sanglant says, Amazon sells a 55-gallon drum of lube. Yes, they do. It's just insanely expensive. It's almost like more expensive than if you were to buy the individual bottles. And yeah, shout out to 2023 Nick Recato. In fact, not even 2023. 2022 Nick Recato would have been all over the store. 2023 Nick Recato was pretty tore up. So, but yeah, shout out to 2022 Nick Recato. 2024 Nick Recato is just a disaster. And I definitely hope he gets his shit together, gets his family together, and gets his life clean, and makes a return to the internet in an entertaining way. Israel launched Tuesday's pager attack when it believed Hezbollah discovered the capability. Some source says, again, this is CNN here, so take that for what you will. An Israeli source familiar with national security. I think it's dangerous for CNN's Jamie Gangel to write this article. with some anonymous random source from Israel saying that Israel detonated the pagers on Tuesday. Who made the explosion pagers? Oh, a Taiwanese manufacturer. Or no, the tiny European company made it. Okay. Again, we don't know why they explode, but they explode. Lebanese foreign minister fears introduction of war after 2 days of device explosions. Hey, saying let's 86 says got to return the drum for your deposit. Oh God, I wouldn't want the drum back. God, oh. Death toll climbs to 14 in Wednesday's walkie-talkie explosions. So that's now 24 people. Or no, now it's 20. Okay, so that's Wednesday's. So now it's 20 people. And what was it? 8 people got killed by the pagers yesterday. Israel Defense Minister says new era of war is beginning, tacitly acknowledging Hezbollah operation. Okay. Again, I think this is a little dangerous for CNN to just be asserting that people in Israel have admitted to making this happen. I mean, I'm not saying they won't admit to it, but until they've overtly admitted to it, making all of these weird statements about it, pretty crazy. Anyway, so yeah, that's what you have. You have walkie-talkies, you have beepers, beepers like we all used to carry in the 90s to let our drug dealers know where we were at. And now you have cars, allegedly. You have cars made by the uploader of this video and retweeted by Jackson Hinkle. And Jackson Hinkle commented, if Israel can do this in Beirut, they can do it anywhere. I mean, whatever. Again, I'm not ready to blame Israel, but if this is true, if they're just detonating any device that has lithium in it, think about that implication for, potentially a war against Russia and China. Russia and China are deploying warships and airplanes. Sangland says, was it a Kia? Oh, God. That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure Korea would love for us all to have. Anyway, folks, as I was saying, we all carry computers attached to lithium devices every day. If they can do it to a beeper or a walkie-talkie, imagine the things this thing could do if remotely accessed. If they can kill 20 people just by carrying walkie-talkies on their hip. Again, maybe they implanted explosives in them. I don't know. But think about how much of our tech is made overseas, especially in communist countries, especially in countries influenced by China. You wouldn't need troops on the ground. You wouldn't need warships. You could cripple America by turning these off for a short period of time. We wouldn't know what to do. We'd start attacking each other. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what the toll, if you were to scroll further down in that CNN live feed, there's people making a lot of claims about the organizational toll it took on Hezbollah to have their communications disrupted in such ways, because now they don't trust using any kind of technology. I don't know how true that is. But can you imagine the chaos you could sow in a place like the United States by taking away our ability to communicate with one another? To quote Star Wars Episode 1, Communication disruption can only mean one thing: invasion. I mean, yeah, communication disruption kind of fucking means war. But that's why I communicate with you folks. And again, big shout out to Kevin and ABQ and Sanglan86 for participating in the chat. You folks out there, you can participate in the chat too by stopping by every Wednesday and every Saturday, 6 p.m. Central, right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. And click that thumbs up button. And then come in, say hello. I'll give you a shout out. Cheers. Cheers to everyone watching right now. And another cheers to everyone watching later on demand. If you're new here, please click that follow button, share this on other platforms, and watch a second video. Those three things, if you're new here, those are the three things you could do to help this channel the most. And down in the description of this video are links to my social media. This is where I usually say I always, but I fucked up this week. Last Wednesday, I had to skip a show and I didn't update people on my social media, but I usually do. 99% of the time, if there's a disruption of the schedule of the show, I let people know on those social media platforms down in the description. So please follow me on those other social media platforms to know when I'm going to be live next. And yeah, folks, until next time, thank you for stopping by. Take care of yourselves and each other. Outlast those haters. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub that shit in real good. I'll catch you this Saturday, 6 p.m. Central on Mild's Culture Plate. Folks, have a wonderful week and enjoy your hump day. Good night.